The sky was full of fire. Smoke rose from the alien city as ships flew overhead, leaving trails of black behind them. Buildings were broken. The ground was shaking. People screamed and ran in all directions. Mothers called for their children. Soldiers shouted orders, and in the middle of it all, a young alien girl fell to her knees. Her skin was soft blue, her eyes glowing faintly purple. Blood leaked from a wound on her side. Her breathing was fast and shallow. Her arms were shaking. Her people, her own kind, ran past her. Not one of them stopped. She reached out with a trembling hand. "Please, help me." But no one heard her. Or maybe they did and just didn't care. Her name was Sira. She was only 19 cycles old. She had trained as a medic. She believed in kindness, in saving lives. But now, no one wanted to save her. She watched her unit leave. The officer who promised to protect her didn't even look back. Her best friend ran past her without a word. Sira's heart broke more than her body did. Then silence. She lay there in the dust, blinking slowly. Heat and smoke filled the air. Her voice cracked as she whispered again, "Don't. Leave me." A shadow fell across her. She flinched, afraid. Another soldier? Another enemy? Her body had no strength left to run. But then, the shadow knelt down. A voice spoke, deep and calm. "You're hurt." She opened her eyes. It was a human soldier in white and red armor, dusty and scratched. He had cuts on his face and dirt in his hair. But his eyes, they were soft, kind. She stared at him, confused. Weren't humans supposed to hate her kind? He looked at her wound and gently touched her shoulder. "Can you move?" She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. Her voice came out like a whisper. "Why? Are you helping me?" He didn't answer. Instead, he picked her up in his arms. She was too weak to resist. Her head rested against his chest. She could feel his heartbeat. It was strong, steady. The soldier carried her across the battlefield, stepping over broken machines and burning metal. His grip never loosened. He held her like she mattered. Sira looked up at him again. His face was bruised, but calm. He didn't look afraid. He didn't look angry. He looked focused. "You should have left me," she whispered. "That's what everyone else did." He glanced down. "I'm not everyone else." They reached a small rock shelter near a broken hill. He placed her gently on the ground, then took out a water pouch and held it to her lips. She drank slowly. It tasted like life. "What's your name?" she asked, barely above a breath. "Evan," he replied. "Sergeant Evan Cade." She gave a small nod. "Sira." "Nice to meet you, Sira," he said, trying to smile. A loud boom echoed behind them. The human looked up. Ships were still fighting above, but this area was calm for now. Evan pulled a thin blanket from his bag and placed it over her. Then he removed a small med kit from his armor and cleaned the wound on her side. She winced in pain, but didn't scream. He wrapped the wound carefully, like he'd done it 100 times before. "You're gonna be okay," he said softly. She stared at him. "Why are you doing this?" Evan didn't answer at first. He finished wrapping her side, then sat beside her, back against the rock. After a long moment, he said, "I saw you lying there. Everyone was running. I couldn't walk away." Sira's voice was dry. "Even though I'm not human?" He looked at her. "Pain doesn't care what species you are. Neither do I." A tear rolled down Sira's cheek. Not because of the wound, not because of the pain, but because for the first time someone stayed. The desert wind blew gently. Dust swirled in the air. In the distance, more ships flew across the sky. But for now, there was only silence between them, and it was peaceful. Sira closed her eyes. Her body was weak, but her heart felt warm. As she drifted into sleep, her last thought was, he stayed when no one else did. She woke to the sound of breathing, not her own but his. Slow, calm, steady. Sira opened her eyes. She was still. In the desert, still wrapped in that thin blanket. The air was cold now. Night had come. The sky above was filled with stars she didn't know. And beside her, the human soldier sat wide awake. He hadn't slept. He sat with his rifle in hand, eyes watching the dark, like he was guarding something important. He was guarding her. Sierra blinked. She didn't understand him. No one had ever stayed before. Her own people had left her without a second thought. But this human Evan had not only helped her, he had stayed the entire night. Why are you still here? She asked quietly. He looked at her, surprised she was awake. You're alive. That's reason enough. Sierra sat up slowly, wincing at the pain in her side. The stars above were so many. Too many. She looked up at them and whispered, I always thought I'd die alone. You're not alone now, Evan said. She looked at him again. The way he sat, alert but calm, not like a soldier on duty. More like someone watching over a friend, or something even closer. Don't your commanders care where you are? She asked. I left them. What? They gave orders to move out. Said to ignore any survivors. Said saving you wasn't worth it. He looked into the fire he had made. I didn't agree. She stared. You disobeyed? I stayed. He said simply. For a moment, she had no words. Her people had left her because she was weak. A burden. He had risked his life and rank for someone who wasn't even his kind. She looked down at her hands. Not important. To them. Maybe, Evan said. But to me? You were the only one crying for help. His words hit her chest like a wave. Her throat tightened, but she forced back her tears. She didn't want to look weak again. Are you always like this? She asked. Like what? Strange. Evan gave a soft laugh. Only on weekends. She actually smiled a small, tired smile, the first in many days. They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled gently. The wind howled in the far distance. Somewhere machines groaned and flickered in the sand dots. Suddenly, Sierra turned serious. I shouldn't be with you. Why not? If someone finds you helping me, they'll call you a traitor. He shrugged. Then I'll be a traitor. She shook her head. That's not a small thing. No, but you're not a small thing either. Silence again, then movement. In the far distance, Sierra tensed. Evan saw it too. He grabbed his rifle, eyes locked on the shadows. A patrol drone hovered in the air, scanning the land below. Sierra whispered, That's one of ours. Evan said nothing. Just watched. The drone passed over them and stopped. Its light began to shift. Scanning mode. It's found us, Sierra said, panicked. Evan jumped up, raised his rifle, and aimed a loud zap. The drone dropped, smoking, into the sand. He lowered the weapon and turned back to her. Are you okay? She nodded, heart still. Racing. He quickly covered the fire with sand. We can't stay here now. Where will we go? She asked. There's a half-buried base not far from here. It's old, maybe forgotten. We moved before sunrise. Sierra looked at him with wide eyes. You're risking everything. Just to keep me safe. Evan held out his hand. Then let's make it worth something. She stared at his hand, and then slowly, she took it. His grip was warm, strong, honest. Together they stepped into the night. The stars watched from above. The broken world behind them burned low with distant fires. But ahead, just maybe, there was hope. And Sierra thought, maybe being saved isn't as strange as being believed in. The desert didn't wake with the sun. It woke with the sound of machines, gears clicking, engines humming, steel feet crushing sand. Sierra and Evan had just started moving when they heard it, faint at first, like a whisper carried by the wind. But it was getting louder, closer. Something's coming, Evan said, scanning the horizon. Sierra paused, her hand on her side. Her wound still hurt, but she could walk now barely. She squinted into the dusty morning light. That sound. I know it. Patrol bots, 3 of them. Evan cursed under his breath. Yours or mine? Ours, she said quietly. But they don't protect people anymore. They destroy anything that slows the army down. That includes us. They ducked behind a large rock. The desert was open here, flat and cruel. No trees, no buildings. Only sand and sun and things that wanted you dead. Evan checked his rifle. Only 2 shots left in the power cell. Sierra noticed and spoke in a low voice. If they find us, you should run. Not happening. I'm serious, she said, her voice shaking. You don't owe me anything. He looked at her. I stayed because I chose to. I don't leave people behind. Not even aliens with smart mouths. Sierra gave a weak smile, but it didn't last. The sound was too close now. Evan peeked over the rock, 3 tall. Black machines walked across the sand, scanning with glowing red eyes. They looked like twisted metal insects, fast, deadly, and without pity. We need to move. Now, Evan said. Sierra tried to stand fully, but her leg gave out. She fell. Evan caught her before she hit the ground. Come on, stay with me. I can't run, she gasped. He thought fast, then lifted her onto his back. Then I'll carry you. You'll be too slow. Still faster than dying. They started moving again, Evan carrying her across the sand, heading toward the half-buried base he remembered from a scouting map. The wind picked up. Sand flew around them. The bots scanned harder, beeping louder. A warning alarm shrieked in the distance. They'd been seen. Hold on. Evan shouted as he ran over a dune. Sierra wrapped her arms around his shoulders, trying not to cry out from the pain. Blaster fire hit the ground behind them, flashes of red in the sand. Too close. We're not gonna make it. Sierra cried. Yes, we are. He yelled back. A crack in the earth opened below like a giant mouth. A collapsed tunnel. Evan didn't hesitate. He jumped inside. They fell for 2 seconds. Then they landed in old dust and silence. Sierra groaned. That was insane. Evan helped her sit up, but it worked. Above them, the patrol bots buzzed and circled, unable to detect them under the rock. Sierra looked around. Where are we? Abandoned base, Evan said. Built during the early years of the war. Nobody comes here anymore. The tunnel was dark but dry. Pipes ran along the ceiling. Broken lights flickered weakly. The air smelled like rust and old secrets. They walked slowly, Evan holding Sierra's arm to steady her. She looked at him with tired eyes. You didn't have to save me again, he shrugged. Guess I'm getting used to it, she laughed softly, then winced. Her wound was still raw. He helped her sit against the wall and pulled out what little was left of his water. You keep risking everything, she said. Why? Because you're worth it, he said simply. She blinked. No one had ever said that to her before. Not her commanders. Not her family. Not even herself. Then a low growl echoed through the tunnel. Evan stood quickly, rifle raised. What was that? Sierra's eyes widened. This base was closed for a reason. From the shadows, something moved. Not a bot. Not a soldier. Something alive. Something hunting. And the darkness. A head whispered with danger. Darkness wasn't quiet anymore. It was breathing. Low. Slow. Wet. Sierra felt it before she saw it. A presence in the tunnel. Cold, heavy, and watching. Not machine. Not human. Something else. She whispered. We're not alone. Evan didn't reply. He stood still, rifle aimed at the black ahead. The tunnel was too narrow, the lights too weak. Whatever was in there. It wasn't friendly. Then something scraped across metal. Not a footstep, not a claw, something worse. Something dragging itself forward. Sierra's pulse jumped. Her fingers grabbed Evan's arm. What is that? He shook his head. I don't know. But we don't wait to find out. They backed up slowly. The tunnel opened into a side room, small, dusty, filled with broken crates and old tech. Evan pushed Sira inside and closed the rusted door. He put a finger to his lips. Silence. Sera sat on the floor, breathing hard. Her hands trembled. I can't do this. You can, Evan whispered, kneeling beside her. You've come this far. She looked at him, scared. What if it finds us? Then I shoot it in the face, he said flatly. She gave a small laugh, quick and shaky, but it helped. Outside, the sound returned. The creature sniffed the air. It knew. Sira leaned close. I've seen something like this before. It feeds on wounded energy. That's how it found us. Evan looked at her. Then it's hunting you, she nodded. I'm leaking aura. It can smell it. It will keep coming until I stop bleeding, or I'm dead. He looked around the room. Nothing sharp, nothing clean. He couldn't fix her here. Then we distract it, he said. No, she said quickly. You'll die. You said it feeds on your energy, not mine. Still, Evan didn't wait. He opened the door just enough and tossed a glowing crystal he had found near the tunnel's wall into the far hallway. It clicked and pulsed with light. The sound stopped. The creature turned. Then a roar, sharp. Inhuman. It rushed past their room, chasing the light. Now, Evan whispered. He lifted Sira and moved fast through the opposite hallway. The base was huge, but most doors were blocked with sand or rubble. He needed somewhere safe, somewhere to treat her wound before she lost more energy. They passed a broken lab, a storage room. Finally, a small medical station with blinking lights and old alien machines, still glowing faintly. He kicked the door open and set her on the table. You're safe, he said, locking the door. For now. Sira was pale. Her energy was weak. Her body shook. She tried to smile but failed. Evan grabbed the healing tools. I've never used alien tech before, so this might hurt. She coughed. Just don't cut off my tail. You have a tail? She grinned. Not anymore, he laughed. Even in danger, she had jokes. He worked fast. Cleaned her wound, injected glowing fluid into her veins. The machine scanned her and beeped once. He hoped that meant she wasn't dying. As the light from her skin slowly returned, she stared at him. You stayed again, she whispered. You keep needing saving, he teased. She looked away, then back at him, more serious now. Why do you trust me? Because when I look in your eyes, he said, I don't see an alien. I see someone like me, scared, hurt, still fighting. Her lips trembled. She reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. Outside, the creature roared again, farther now. But it would return. It always did, still. Inside this room, for a moment, it didn't matter. Because in the dark, they had each other. Some wounds go deeper than skin. Some pain doesn't bleed it, whispers. And in the cold silence of that broken base, Sira's body was healing. But her spirit wasn't. She lay on the metal table, her skin glowing weakly. Her eyes were half open. The machines beside her beeped slowly, like a clock counting down. Evan sat beside her, not moving. He hadn't spoken in an hour. His hands were stained with dried blue blood. Her blood, the alien serum, helped. But not enough. She's slipping, he muttered, staring at the scanner. I don't know what else to do. Her voice was barely a breath. You should leave. He looked at her sharply. I'm not leaving you. You should, she said. My people did. They were right. No, they weren't, he said firmly. She turned her face away. I'm broken. You're wasting your time. Evan stood. His voice was quiet, but it shook with anger. They said you were a burden, that you weren't worth saving. But every time I look at you, I see someone trying to live. That's not weakness. That's strength. She didn't answer. He paced the room, frustration building. The medical tools were too old, the healing gel too weak. Her energy was fading again. Something inside her body was damaged in a way he couldn't fix. He remembered a word from her earlier, aura. Her life force wasn't just physical. It was something deeper. Something alien, and it was dying. "Sira," he said suddenly. "Is there a way to restore your aura?" She nodded slowly. "But the energy I need, it's rare. Stored only in military supply zones. Heavily guarded." "By your people?" "Yes," she whispered. "They'll shoot you on sight." He picked up his gear. "Then I'll go at night." She tried to sit up. "No, you won't make it," he turned to her. His voice was steady. "You're worth trying." Before she could argue, he was gone. The desert at night was a graveyard. Evan moved fast through the shadows. His armor was dirty, his weapon low on power, but his mind was sharp. He knew pain. He knew risk. But now, he also knew Sira, and he wasn't going to let her die. The alien military zone was a ruined compound protected by drones and auto turrets. But Evan was human and unpredictable. He crawled under the sensors, climbed broken walls, slipped through cracks like a shadow. Inside, he found the chamber Sira had described. Glowing canisters of liquid aura floated inside a cold vault. He took one, maybe two. That's when the alarm went off. "Freeze!" shouted a voice. Evan didn't wait. He ran. Shots followed. Blue lasers zipped past his head. One hit his shoulder. He cried out but kept moving. The pain was sharp, hot, but he could still run, still fight, still keep his promise. He barely made it out alive. Back in the base, Sira was fading fast. She couldn't hear the machines anymore, couldn't feel her fingers. Her skin was cold, her breath shallow. "He's gone," she thought. "I told him to run." He didn't listen. And then the door slammed open. Evan stumbled in, bleeding, limping, but holding the glowing canister in his hand. She gasped, tears filling her eyes. "You came back." He injected the serum into the machine. The chamber filled with light. Her body arched, then relaxed. The machine beeped faster, stronger. Evan collapsed beside her. His wound was deep now. Blood dripped from his shoulder. He was shaking. "You idiot," she whispered. "You could have died." "Maybe," he said with a faint smile. "But then who would have told you how strong you are?" She reached for his hand. Their fingers touched. And for the first time, her light glowed. Brighter. War didn't knock it. Broke down the door. Evan was still bandaging his bleeding shoulder when the first explosion hit the ground above them. Dust rained from the ceiling. The old metal walls groaned like they were screaming. Sira sat up fast, her glow now brighter than ever. The aura serum had worked, but they had no time left. "They found us," she said. He nodded. "Yeah, they followed me back." Footsteps echoed through the tunnels now. Not one, not two, a full squad. Heavy boots, robotic legs, weapons. Charged. Evan checked his rifle. One shot. That's all he had left. "We can't win this," she whispered. "No," he said calmly. "But we can slow them down." She looked at him. "We'll die." "Maybe," he said, "but not without making a choice." "What choice?" "I choose you." Sira's breath caught in her throat. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He wasn't just someone who saved her. He believed in her. And for the first time, she believed in herself too. "I'll help," she said, stepping forward. "My energy is stronger now. I can use it. Are you sure?" He asked. She smiled. "You taught me not to give up." The door burst open. An alien commander stepped in, weapons drawn. Behind him were 5 armored soldiers and a drone flying. Above. Evan raised his rifle. The commander pointed at Sira. "Stand down, human. That thing is a Class 5 defect." "Orders are clear." "She's not a defect," Evan said. "She's alive. She matters." The commander gave a cold smile. "You really think this ends with a happy ending?" "No," Evan said, "but it ends with my choice, not yours." Suddenly, Sira's body glowed brighter, her aura rising like fire. Her arms lit up with white-blue light. Her eyes sparkled. With raw energy, she stepped in front of Evan and raised her hand. The energy shot forward like a wave. The drone exploded in mid-air. The soldiers were thrown backward. Only the commander remained shocked. "You don't have that kind of power." He growled. "I do now," she said. "Because someone believed in me." The commander aimed to fire, but Evan pulled the trigger. One final shot straight into the weapon's power cell. It exploded in his hand. The recoil knocked him down. His arm burned, but the commander was gone dead in a burst of fire and smoke. Room went silent. Seera dropped to her knees beside Evan. "You're hurt." He laughed, coughing. "Just a little crispy." "You risked everything for me again," she said. He looked up at her. "Was worth it." Sirens started in the distance. More soldiers were coming, but something else came too. A voice on the com link. "Human call sign 847. This is Shuttle Hawk. Respond." Evan grabbed the broken radio. "This is Cade. I've got a priority evac. One alien passenger. Not negotiable." Silence. "Then copy that. We're inbound. Hold position." Sierra blinked in shock. "They're coming for us?" He smiled. "Yeah, told you I'd get you out." She stared at him. "After all this, what now?" He reached for her hand. "Now?" He said, "We go home, together." In the middle of war, she found peace, in the arms of the one who was never supposed to care. Sierra sat on the edge of the landing ramp, watching the sun rise over the desert one last time. Her legs dangled, her skin glowing faintly under the early light. The human ship behind her hummed with soft power, ready to lift off. And beside her, Evan sat quietly. His arm was bandaged, his armor scratched and burned, but his eyes were calm. Together they had survived, but now came the real question: what happened after? "You don't have to come with me," Evan said softly, breaking the silence. "You can still go back to your world." Sierra didn't look at him. "And be what? A ghost again? A mistake?" She turned her head slowly. "They left me." "You didn't." He nodded but didn't push her. She took a deep breath. "You gave me more than just safety. You gave me ... worth. I don't want to lose that." He smiled gently. "Then don't." She looked at the sky. 2 moons still hovered above the horizon. "I used to look at those and wish someone would hear me," she said. "But no one did. Not until a human walked into my life with a broken gun and too much heart." He chuckled. "That's me." She finally smiled. "A real one this time." Then the captain of the human ship stepped out. "We're ready for liftoff," he said, raising an eyebrow at Sierra. "You sure about this, soldier? Bringing her on board?" Evan stood. "I trust her with my life." The captain looked at Sierra. "Then she rides." Sierra stood too. Her steps were stronger now. She followed Evan into the ship, her hand brushing his as they walked. Not holding yet, just touching. Testing. But even that was more than she ever dreamed of before. Inside, the lights were bright. The air was cleaner. Human soldiers looked at her with mixed eyes, some curious, some cold, but no one said a word. Evan led her to the back cabin. "This will be your room," he said, "for now." She stepped inside and turned. "And later?" He leaned in the doorway. "We'll figure it out." She walked toward him slowly, then stopped just inches away. "If I stay with you," she asked softly, "will I still be me?" He tilted his head. "That's what I want. You, not a version that fits my world. Just Sierra." She lowered her eyes for a moment, then looked up and whispered, "Then I want to belong somewhere and not thrown away." He reached forward. And finally he held her hand, not out of pity, not from duty, but because they were choosing each other now. No ranks, no orders, just something real. Outside, the engines roared. The ship rose into the sky, and below them, the broken land slowly disappeared. Epilogue. Weeks later, Sierra walked beside Evan through the clean halls of the human station. Her uniform now matched. His light gray with red bands. Not a soldier. Not a weapon. A partner. People still stared. But she didn't lower her head anymore. They had seen her broken. Now they would see her whole. Evan turned to her and said, "Ready for your next mission?" She smirked. "Only if you're coming with me." He smiled. "Always." They walked. Side by side, two worlds in one step. And somewhere deep inside, Sierra whispered the words that would stay with her forever. "I was abandoned once. But now, I belong."